and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back here to the channel, guys. It is question time on TalkFCB today. Thank you indeed for all of you who have got involved, and I really can't wait to get into today's topics, because we're going to be discussing the potential position change and the role change of Luis Suarez under Quique Setién compared with what he had under Valverde. We're also going to be talking about whether or not Barcelona have the depth in the wider areas if they don't sign Neymar this summer, and we're also going to be talking about the potential confidence hit that some players may have suffered when we return to football action. It's all coming up in today's video. Let's get to it. But I do want to start here with what I felt was an absolutely brilliant question. In about 20 or 30 years, what Barcelona-related event will you be most proud of if you're going to tell your children, if you're going to tell your grandchildren? What moment would you choose there that really resonated with you? What would you be proud of? And this is one not only for me, but I also want to know about your selections. Because personally for me, there are so many incredible memories. Not only just fun memories, but also their proud memories of being a Barcelona fan. You look at individual players from the likes of Carlos Puyol, Ronaldinho. I've discussed those two in previous videos before. You've got Xavi, Iniesta, the likes of Messi, and also you've got team moments too. Not just individuals there, but the collective coming together with big wins against Real Madrid, against our big rivals. In the Champions League, of course, you've got comebacks. There's a whole catalogue of events there that you could choose from. But if I really did have to choose one, if I had to narrow it down there with all of those great moments, I would have to say Champions League final 2011. That would be the moment there. That would be the game that I would say, watch that game and take it all in and be so proud of what our team did on that day. Because I just think there, that particular game, that end to that particular season, it was perfection. It was absolutely perfect. And that's not really something you can say in football. Usually in football, you have good moments, you have great moments, but perfection is so difficult to find. It's so difficult in football to create. And to do that in a Champions League final against Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United team, Pep Guardiola was absolutely unbelievable. It was a night that we will never forget. It was a team that we'll never forget. And an era of football that we may never witness ever again. The second question from you guys there is all around the confidence of the current squad, and it was basically asked there of whether there will be a decrease in confidence given the fact that so many players over the past few weeks have been put on the transfer list or put forward there in exchange deals. And I think that's a great point. I think it's there actually something that I probably haven't highlighted enough. The fact there that we cannot rip our squad apart. I've said that in the past there. We can't go into this summer and just put everybody out and only get a few players in and just tear the squad to pieces, because that's just not how it works. You can't do that all in one summer. You can't do that all in one transfer window, because it's not just there about putting the whole team up for sale and then you sell a few of those, because it's not just about the players who will end up leaving. There will be players who don't end up leaving, and that's the problem, because the sheer amount of players that we've seen in the media over the past few weeks that have been put up for sale, that have been put forward there in exchange deals, there are so many players, and they won't all go. And we're in the position now as well, where we're not in the summer. We're actually in a very strange time, because these same players in a few weeks still have a part to play. There's still games to play this season. Meanwhile, they've been reading in the media that the club no longer counts on them. So what sort of knock-on effect is that going to have on their confidence? When you feel as though the club doesn't value you, when you feel as though you don't have a future, what's that going to do there in the final weeks of the season? But what I would actually try and do there, whilst we could say that, yeah, that might affect some players' confidence and that's not an ideal situation to be in, what I would actually try and do there is flip that into some sort of positive. Because I would actually say, this is where you see the mental strength of a player. This is where you see, at the very top level, what are you made of? Because if I'm a player there in that Barcelona dressing room and I'm reading the papers, much like Rakitic said a few days ago, he was reading all this stuff about him and he didn't get any call off the president. If I was in that position, I'd be sitting there thinking, right, I've read that you don't count on me. I've read that you don't have faith in me. You don't think I'm good enough to succeed at this club. I am now going to do everything in my power to prove you wrong. I'm going to go out there and show you why no, you shouldn't get rid of me. Or no, you should have counted on me, because I still have the quality to succeed at the club. And that's the mentality that every player has to have. You can't just put your head down there and sulk and go there into a defeated state of mind. You cannot do that at the top level. And that's ultimately where you separate the best from the rest. Are you going to react? Are you then going to prove yourself? Because that's the only way that at Barcelona, at the very top level, you're going to survive. There then comes another very, very interesting question there. What are your thoughts about Barcelona no longer going for Neymar, according to those reports? And do you think that's a bad idea? Because we are in desperate need of wingers. And I think there, you're absolutely right. I know many of us here are wondering there about the wide players in Barcelona. Do we have enough quality there in those wide positions to not bring Neymar in this summer? Because that's what we're missing. Under Quique Setién so far, that is the one thing I would say actually that we've missed most. Because in this kind of system, playing this kind of football, you need good wide players, you need natural wingers, just like what we saw under Pep Guardiola, that sort of thing. We know that Messi does start out on the right-hand side, but at least for now, I don't even think anymore you could class him there as an out-and-out winger because he does come much, much more central. You've got somebody like Antoine Griezmann who could play on the left-hand side if required, and I'd also throw in there Martin Braithwaite as well. I think Griezmann and Braithwaite potentially could play as inside forwards, given the right coaching, given the right structure. But apart from that, if you don't bring Neymar in, which I've got to say looks extremely unlikely, what are we going to have going into next season? Well, option number one is Ousmane Dembélé. On his day, if he gets on the pitch, if he can stay fit, he can be that winger. And the beauty of Dembélé, he can play on the left, he can play on the right. You've got a player there who can give you very, very good depth, providing that he stays fit. That's the only question. Number two, you've got ANSU Fati, somebody who broke onto the scene this season in exceptional fashion. He is somebody who still has room, of course, to improve, who still has room there to grow. He does need minutes to do that, though, and he's going to be somebody there who can play a part in those wider areas. And let's not forget as well, option three would be Francisco Trincao, the player this summer coming in from Braga, 31 million euros. That's a pretty big transfer fee there, and somebody who, when he does come in, you will expect to see him out there. You will expect to see him naturally on the right-hand side. He's played some very, very good football in Portugal out in that area, and he's another player I feel certainly, he is young, he will still need improvement, but he's another player who can give us a lot in those wider positions. So Dembélé, Fati, Trincao. Is that enough there in the wider positions to go forward into next season with real confidence? Now, if everybody stays fit, and that's the big question here, if everybody stays fit out of those three players, and we do have Griezmann, we do have Braithwaite, we do have Messi, we do have other options to play out wide, I would say, yeah, that is enough. But with Dembélé, you are taking a risk. Because to take the Dembélé there, you've got to go into next season, you've got to stay fit, you've got to have an injury-free campaign. We haven't seen that so far. Now, we all want to see that. Of course we do. But will we see it? That will be the question, and that will be the risk that you take. The final question, though, is for me the most intriguing one of all, and something I've actually thought a lot about during this break from football. How do you think Suarez's game will change under Setien compared to how it was under Ernesto Valverde? And like I say there, that's very, very interesting, I feel, to actually think about. Because I think Suarez's role in the team is going to change under Setien as opposed to what we saw under Ernesto Valverde. Because under Valverde, don't get me wrong, in terms of goal scoring, Suarez was right up there. And I mean absolutely incredible numbers there, combination play with Lionel Messi, both of them very, very important to the team, and certainly we've missed those goals. Believe me, without Suarez, under Setien, we clearly lack some goals. There's no doubt about that. But in terms of Suarez's overall game under Valverde, at times he did hamper us. There's no denying it. I'm a big, big Suarez fan. I absolutely love him in all ways. But he did break down attacks. The ball would go into him time and time again. It would bounce off him. It would bounce away from him. He wouldn't be in the right position. And attacks, counters, things like that, it would break down and he'd get dispossessed time and time again. And it could get frustrating. What I would say, though, is under Setien, I've got a real hope and a real belief, actually, that under Setien we'll play more to Suarez's outright strengths. And what I mean by that is, under Setien, we've got much more of the ball, much more controlling games. Things are more patient in our play. There's a lot more emphasis on midfield. So I don't actually think here Suarez is going to be involved as much. And I think that's a good thing. No disrespect to Suarez, no criticism to him, but his job now is solely in that final third. Don't get involved in the rest. Leave that to those who can do it. Leave that there to the midfield, to Messi dropping in. It's Suarez's job now to focus on being that 9. Make those runs time and time again. Get into the right positions time and time again. And look, we play patiently. We build up slowly. So you won't always get the ball. But Suarez has to be disciplined enough. He's got to work hard enough to keep making those runs time and time again, because the time will come when you do get that ball, when you do get that chance, and when Suarez is in that final area, that final phase of play, he can do the damage. He can deliver goals. We've seen it before. And I think under Setien, I absolutely can't wait to see how Suarez performs. So that there, guys, are a number of your questions answered in today's video. But like I say, this is not just about me, this is certainly about you, because I want to know your thoughts on each of those as well. What would your moment be that you're most proud of there as a Barcelona fan? Do you feel as though the players this season will lack confidence, those that have appeared in the media linked away from the club? What do you also think there about Neymar Jr. to Barcelona if it doesn't happen? Do you count on the wide options that we currently have? And last but not least, what's your thoughts there on Suarez's role under Setien? Will it change from what we saw under Valverde? Let me know. All of those thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks as always, guys, like I say, for those excellent questions. I'll be answering more soon. You can count on that. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça.